Fire away.
Ajay, I had a question for you. My life has been full of darkness till I was 35 years old, and I've been for 3 years in a mental hospital looking for help. What did change my life is doing my first time prayer ever to God. So I was a non-believer, I didn't believe in anything, and after the prayer, my life started to change.
Yeah.
What happened to me is I received my first healing ever in Antwerp, and I would call it a memory of Glastonbury Tor rising up in front of my eyes. And
sorry, what?
Glastonbury Tor, sorry. That's Tor. Yeah, it's my English.
Thor.
Tor, yes.
Oh, okay.
Rising up in front of my eyes, and 3 months after that experience, I was reading a spiritual magazine, and again I saw that Tor in that magazine, and I had such a feeling coming out of my belly. So I jumped out of the bus a week later, and I came to Glastonbury. So my feeling is that God guided me to come to Glastonbury in order to heal myself, which also happened for me so far because it allowed me to heal myself.
Can I suggest there's a number of things going on for you?
Yes.
And sometimes we've got to be careful that we don't mix up what God's doing with what other people are doing. Oh, okay. And your initial prayer to God, so you initially prayed sincerely to God, and that brought a response from God, right? But what happened with Thor is completely different, leading you to Glastonbury. How do you spell it?
Glastonbury Tor is a famous sort of hill in Glastonbury. That's what he saw. He saw the hill in Glastonbury. So he got guided to a place.
He got guided. Who by?
Well.
Sorry?
See, you're assuming it's by God.
Yes, I had a healing, and I saw that thing rising up in front of my eyes within the healing.
Yeah. And it wasn't God.
Sorry?
It wasn't God.
From out of my perspective, it was, yeah.
I understand, but I'm saying it wasn't. It was Thor.
Okay.
And Thor's not God. Yeah. Now, why did Thor lead you to Glastonbury?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What happens at Glastonbury?
What happened in Glastonbury is I get pretty much confronted with myself.
Yeah.
So in order to that, it allowed me to heal myself for the first time ever, actually.
So this is good.
This is good, yes.
Yes, that's good. But what else happens at Glastonbury?
A lot of stuff.
What kind of stuff? Can we be specific?
So, a lot of inauthenticity and New Age and
right. There's a strong New Age movement there, is there not? Yeah. Okay. So this is an illustration of how sort of God works with what God's got. And when I say what God's got, what we have within ourselves is what God's got to work with. So in your case, you prayed, and God obviously responded to your prayer. But in this process also, the reason why you've been in psychiatric institutions in the past is because you've had an overcloaking by spirits many of those times where you've become psychotic in behaviour. Right? Now, these particular psychoses result from the abdication of your life and giving yourself away to spirits. And this is something that you've done many times in your life in the past without necessarily recognising it. Now, in this process, there are quite a number of spirits around you constantly trying to influence your life.
Yeah, I'm aware of that,
yeah. Now, what they're going through with you now is a bit of a blackmail bribery process in the sense that they don't like the direction you're taking, and they're trying to make your life quite difficult. That's what they're trying to do now. Whereas before, they liked the fact that you wanted to get out of your body and let them tell you what to do and guide what you do. They like that. That's what they want you to do. Now, this spirit, he wants you to do better than that. So he's got some of your best interests at heart, but he is not God, right? And he is not going to necessarily lead you to where you want to go in the long run. God is just helping you through this process of recognizing that there are some spirits that have got your best interests at heart, and there are some spirits that don't have your best interests at heart at all. And many of the spirits you've connected with in the past did not have your best interests at heart. And this is why you ended up in psychiatric institutions in the past. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah.
Yep. And this spirit, he has a bit more of your best interests at heart. He's a bit more, loving towards you. However, it doesn't mean that he's God and he's always going to retain a loving interest towards you. It depends on what you do, right? And my suggestion is the experience you had is an experience given by feelings from spirits which you are very open to receiving. And this is relating to your previous question in our previous session. And what you need to do is look at why you are so open to receiving these things from spirits. Now, once you work through these things that you're open to receiving, you will find that some of the spirits have been maneuvering you in certain directions, which have been very catastrophic for your life. And then other spirits, such as this one, will move your life in a direction which is much more nicer for your life. However, it doesn't mean that they're moving you in the direction of God. So understand that God is going to just work with what God has at the time. And if you are easily influenced by spirits, then God is going to allow spirits, of course, which it's your soul that allows certain spirits. And because you prayed, he's now allowing a certain spirit who's in a much better condition, right, to influence your life than a person who was in a much worse condition before. Right? And it does not mean that this person even is going to have a long-term influence over your life. That is going to be completely dependent upon your will to continue growing towards God. My suggestion is continue praying with God, pray towards God, not expecting automatic changes or fantastic revelations so much as you have.
This is where I drive myself crazy. If I don't get an answer within 2 days, then they're playing games with me, and then I go all the way back. Yes. It's a constant struggle within myself, to be honest.
What God's trying to show you through this process is how much you're willing to give up your will and be guided by spirits all of your life. And it is a major problem that you've faced ever since you were a young man. And my suggestion is to look at what emotions cause you to give up your will. What we're finding, we're meeting more and more people, particularly young men, who are giving up their will during their teenage years and becoming almost totally overcloaked. We had 3 young fellows just visit us 2 or 3 weeks ago at our home. They rocked up at our home uninvited, and they said, "Oh, we're from Andromeda." And we said, "No, you're not. You're from Earth." Right? And then they got very angry. Right? But that illustrates how invested they are in giving up their will and becoming overcloaked by spirits who want them to believe certain things. And the spirits with them were just intense as wanting them and controlling the majority of their life, actually. Controlling everything they talk about, controlling everything they did. They were meeting up with other people who thought they were from Andromeda as well. And there's this whole clan of spirits guiding all of these meetings and everything. Their entire life has been given up. And the reason why is these young men have felt no power in their personal life and are seeking power now. They want power. They want to know everything about others. They want to know what others are thinking and all this. And these spirits tell them all that information. And we've got to examine very carefully why we want this kind of interaction with spirits. And now, what's happening is your spirit friend and God is trying to help you examine that now. And this is partially why your life is, for the first time, starting to improve, is because you also now have a willingness to examine. But examine the addictions that were present right back in your young adulthood that have guided much of the events that have happened, the painful events that have happened through your life.
Yeah. I have. Thank you for making sense. I have, ever since I was a kid, also my partner have done, and her, we have a strong sense of purpose, and we want to live our life in service. And what I want to do is a bit like you, guiding younger people and how in order to find themselves. But have I the right to do this now? Because I still don't feel like I'm controlling myself yet. So I have to be honest. Within 2 months, I want to start with my first seminar in Belgium. I have a couple of friends up there who are willing to listen, but I'm kind of questioning myself, am I ready? Do I have the right to do this? Because I don't really mastering myself.
Yeah, always engage your desires, but understand that the results will be definitely guided by what errors you have inside of you emotionally. So engage your desires and then let God feed back to you what's going on. Now, just take a lot of care, because you're going to attract a lot of very spirit-influenced people because of the history that you've had with spirit influence. And so be aware of that. Understand what's going on for you with that first. And then as you understand that, you'll be able to help others go through the same thing. Can I also, though, point out that this feeling in you that you have a purpose and this desire to have a purpose, what I notice a lot of people doing, and particularly, again, a lot of these young men come to us and they say, oh, I've got a purpose. I just haven't discovered what it is yet, but I know I've got a purpose. And I'm going, yeah, you've got an addiction to being special. So, and one reason why people get overcloaked by spirits a lot is because they want to be special and unique, and they feel inside of themselves that they're not special and unique without some external help, without somebody who knows everything overcloaking them and showing them what they know. And so what we often observe is there is this willingness in people who believe they have a purpose to get overcloaked by spirits. And I've known some people to actually get overcloaked and be overcloaked for the rest of their life by that spirit. And really all they're doing is what the spirit tells them for the rest of their life. I suggest to you that's not God's purpose for you to do that. So what you want to do is find what your own personality is. To do that, you're going to have to separate your personality from the personalities of the spirits that are influencing you. And to do that, you've got to look at your addictions first. So always focus on the addictions, what you're wanting. In the end, you will do something with a desire no matter who listens. See, when you have a pure desire, it does not matter to you who hears it. You just engage your pure desire. That's all you do. Now, I've got a friend in Australia who you may have seen in some of the, or maybe one of the interviews. His name is Fabio. He plays the guitar. He doesn't care who hears him play the guitar. I have seen him go out in the middle of a field and just play the guitar and sing. Right? He does not have any expectation that anyone else engages his passion or desire, or even agrees with it, or gives him accolades or approval for it. He has no expectation of any of those things. As a result of that, his life has greatly changed over the last 2 or 3 years that I've known him. He was a painter, and now he earns money only from his music. He used to paint for around 40 to 50 hours a week or more. House painting, that's what he used to do. And he had his own band, which he would do on the side, you know. And then as soon as he started addressing some of these issues and having a pure desire, which just focused on his desire, what he finished up happening now, this is like, so 3 years later from when we first met him, he works about 8 to 10 hours a week and earns the same amount of money from music, 8 to 10 hours a week, as what he earned from painting 40, 50 hours a week. Right? And the reason why that happens is because when people go along to listen to him, they can feel that he doesn't have any demands of them. He doesn't have any, desire that everyone listens and everyone listens to his songs. He's always just trying to perfect his desire. And as a result of perfecting his desire, people want to come and people want to pay him and people want to, and he does it by donation. He gets paid by donation and earns more by donation doing his music than he used to earn asking a hourly rate when he was painting. And that is an indication of a person who is just engaged in their desire without the need for everyone else to share in their desire. So I would suggest too that that's what's going to happen with each of us when we truly engage our desires. When we truly engage our desires, we'll come to terms with the fact that no one else needs to be present while we have our desires. So any desire that needs someone else present in order to be satisfied is possibly driven by more addictions than by a desire. Does that make sense?
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary, right? But the reality is, it's a beautiful thing, because what it means is you can engage your passion and desire in isolation, and eventually you won't be in isolation, because there'll be just all these people attracted to you, wanting to feel the results of your passion and desire. This is what happened to me in my first century life. People didn't listen to me by the thousands because of me trying to force myself upon them. They listened to me because I engaged my personal desire. My personal desire is relationship with God, knowing everything about the universe and the way God's laws work with God, like wanting to know from God how all of these things work. That's my passion and desire. I don't have a desire necessarily to go around teaching it or all those other things. That's not a strong part of my desire. My desire is to focus on this relationship with God. As a result of that, my own happiness grew, my own enjoyment grew, and people wanted me to share the truth with them. And of course, because my passion and desire is discovering all these truths, and therefore I'm perfectly happy to share them. Just like Fab's passion and desire is to play music, and he's perfectly happy to share it if somebody wants to hear it. But we do not need the other person to do that.
I feel it inside of me, it's true. I feel it. Thank you.
Yep.